Arno, and you are invited to join us. You want to come out for lunch? We've got plenty of room here, although we do have a nice crowd today. And in addition, here at Wings Etc., they have 70 menu items that are not their award-winning wings. Their full menu includes freshly made burgers. They've revamped their burger lineup. They have wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs. If you're coming for lunch, their daily half-pound lunch specials start at just $7.99. And their appetizer lineup includes their ultimate nachos, the deep-fried pickle chips. You can call ahead and pick it up. You can dine in, of course, or you can have it delivered. Now with the DoorDash app, you can have Wings Etc. delivered to your front door. It is the home of the coaches show, Wings Etc. Good food and great times. We're going to be talking Red Hawks hoops with head coach Brad Korn. Manny Patterson is here. We'll get a chance to talk with Manny, who's coming down the stretch in his collegiate career. Let's welcome in head coach Brad Korn. Boy, everything tastes a little better after a big win over one of the elite teams in the OVC, Morehead State. I bet you're in a better mood than you were Thursday night.
Yeah, you enjoy that victory anytime you can win the way that we did against a team like Morehead, as you mentioned, obviously a champion. And we've had good games against them. Obviously, the one at home here, losing in overtime the way we did, up 3 with 30 seconds left. Our guys were motivated. I think we're a little bit maybe more motivated with Morehead just because they ended our season a year ago in the conference tournament. And so I think it always comes with a different chip on your shoulder when you're playing a team like that. And obviously we respect them for what they did a year ago.
And they ended everyone's season because they were the only cats standing at the end.
True. And so it's a tough physical game and the way that they play. And so we were able to impose our will and our style on them. And got a much-needed, big-time road win.
Only their second home loss of the season. Nobody is coming into LST Johnson Arena and beating the Eagles, and they had never had 92 points scored on them this year. I mean, most of their games are in the 60s or 50s in terms of what they give up. You scored 92 points, the first team to do it.
Yeah, we were the tougher team. You know, they were worried from the beginning. They were wanting fouls and all that, and it's ironic that they wanted fouls from us. Just with the style and the way that they play, they're physical. They do a great job defensively. So it was, but it was a battle. It really was, and we got down 5 in the second half. You're wondering which way is it going to go. But again, we just made play after play after play, and our guys just showed a high level of toughness and really just what late February basketball is all about. You're just finding a way to win the game. You know, whether you win 92 to 86 or whether you win 41 to 40, finding a way to win a game, however it goes. And our game was actually going at the pace that we enjoy and like. And guys, Eric Reed made huge shots. Chris Harris made his first 3 threes. We just had a bunch of guys step up and make plays. Nana rebounded. Nigel had a great statistical game all across the board, as did DQ. So, I mean, we just played a good game. And late, able to give the ball to Phil there. They were switching. They didn't really make any adjustment on it. We went zone. Actually, we went zone. First possession was 8 minutes into the game, or in the second half, we went zone. So we try to, we're piecing it together and trying to make way because we had guys in foul trouble. Manny played 5 minutes or whatever it was, had our first 7 points or whatever it was. So just one of those games that you got to find a way to win. We gave one up to Tech the night before, so finding a way to get a win and to get it in the manner in which we did against a team like that, again, speaks to our team and to our guys to be able to play that way at the end of the season and a much-needed win to keep position of where we want to be with 2 games left now in the regular season.
You know, what I think is interesting is early in the season you suffered some tough losses, and it would be a narrative of, man, if we could just have, our guys get their averages. There's always seems like there's one guy who just has an off night. Can we just get all of our guys, to click on the same night? Because one night, Eric Reed might have an 0 for 9, which is uncharacteristic. Or the next game, Chris Harris may have a 1 for 9 from the field. Not this game. This is the game you were looking for, right? Everybody played well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been, as you mentioned, it's been a little bit tough these last 2 weeks, going back to Austin P and Edwardsville with 7 players. And, we've dealt with some things just like everybody else has dealt with things all season long. So you don't make excuses, but it is hard to keep rhythm. I looked at our conference stats this morning. you've got Eric Reed at the top, obviously, then there's Phil, but then you've got Nana, Chris, Manny, Nigel, DQ, all 9, 9, 8, 8, 7. And so to me, that's balance. And so you can have a game when you have all of your pieces, Eric Reed or Philip Russell or Chris Harris or Manny Patterson, they don't have to always just carry the load. And it's nice to be able to walk into a game and know that you've got some good guys that can go get you 35 like those guys have. But Chris Harris is more than capable of having a big night. And he's hit game winners in his career. Manny's had huge games for us this last month of the season. DQ's had big games, 18-point games against Evansville and against Austin Peay. And so we've got nice balance. And to me, that speaks to a team. That's why we're a good offensive team, because we share the basketball. We have weapons. The floor is spaced. And so to me, we were able to finally get some sort of consistency and cohesion within our team, and then it really showed up on Saturday.
And for those who do not know, I mean, you look at guys like Tevin Brown and K.J. Williams for Murray State. They have had big seasons, but nobody had a bigger week than Eric Reed. He was just named Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Week, 35-point explosion against Tennessee Tech, and then 28 points. Including 10 of 11 from the free throw line against Morehead State. He certainly earned that OVC Player of the Week.
Yeah, he did. He's had a really good season. I don't think people maybe understand. He was an unknown a year ago, just in the recruiting world, and then our team. No one really expected anything out of us from our team a year ago, and then here comes Eric Reed and shoots the leather off the ball a year ago, and then so now coming back into this year, you're at the top of the scouting report. And people are guarding you differently, and you're getting everybody's best defender, and now everyone knows your strengths and weaknesses. And so for him to be able to continue to perform speaks to the level of the player that he is, and he's just had a huge, huge week for us. You have to have that. If you're going to keep putting yourself in position and try and keep climbing, you got to have guys step up and make plays when it really counts, and Eric was one of those guys. I thought actually one of the best plays of the whole game the other night, Eric, was when he drove in. It was about – I think there's like 4:23 on the game clock. He drove in. He went 2 feet in the paint. He was pivoting. He didn't have anything. He had the presence of mind to call timeout. And we had 3 timeouts at the time. And so we didn't lose that possession in a very critical point. So to me, that's like one of the plays as a coach that stands out. I know we get, Eric can shoot. He can drive. He's doing all these things. But now having other players be coaches on the floor in those moments is huge, because we didn't turn it over. We were able to get – I think we got a 3 off that. I think right after that. We missed a layup, but then we got a kick out 3. And so now in a moment of a 5-point, 6-point game on the road, to where if you turn that basketball over, you try and force it because I'm Eric Reed, and now they go down and hit a 3, and now we're back in the same situation. You never want to be in a 1-2 possession game on the road, because anything can happen with any amount of time on the clock. So to get that and go back up 8 to go up 9, now you're making it a 3-possession game. We can go back into our zone, stall them out a little bit more. It takes even more time off the clock. That was a huge, huge play.
And you look at what Eric Reed has done in terms of evolving his game. Last year, at times, he was a little bit of a liability from the free throw line. He was a 62% free throw shooter. This year, elite, 81% among the league leaders. I mean, that's a big jump in Division I basketball from one year to the next. And we're not talking about just a few attempts. He's got a lot of attempts.
Yeah, and you look at where he was. First, it speaks to the type of player he is, because he saw weakness in his game from a year ago and then corrected that weakness. So, again, he's becoming the all-around player that you want to see and have in your program. But, early in the year, he wasn't at that high of a level, that high of a percentage, and he's gotten better as the season has gone on. He's our technical guy now. Before it was Nigel. Nigel was 14 of 14 at one point in conference play, and he's dipped a little bit. So Eric has progressively gotten better from the free throw line as the season has gone on.
And you hit 15 of 20 from the free throw line in the basketball game, and they go 12 of 18. So once again, you have an advantage from the free throw line. That has been one constant theme for your basketball team, free throw shooting, and shooting more and making more than your opponents.
Yeah, and again, you look at our statistics offensively, they're good. We're second in the league, in scoring. We're first in threes. We're third in assists. And you're first in free throw attempts. So where is that weakness of your offense that defenses can attack or exploit? Or there really isn't one. And when you can shoot the ball the way that we can, and again, we talked about it with Rusty at Tech. I thought in one moment we lived and died by the 3, which we hadn't done all season long. We do shoot a lot of threes, we make a lot of threes, but I think it fits our personnel, and we take the right kind of threes. And again, I was just looking at other statistics. Defensively, we haven't been great this season. But I think we haven't secured rebounds off the first miss, and that's where an area that we've got to get better this last week and heading into the conference tournament is we've got to be able to secure that first miss. We'll do a pretty good job of defending people's initial actions and getting them to miss the initial shot, but then we'll give up offensive rebound and now teams shoot 50% against us from twos, and we just can't. Your defensive numbers and points per game are going to be poor when you do that, and we've got to get that corrected on the other side of the ball.
Head coach Brad Korn, the Red Hawks are in 4th place in the OVC, but they've got teams nipping at their heels. Just 2 games left. Thursday at home against UT Martin, who should have beaten Murray State on Saturday, and then the Racers come in on Saturday night. I am guessing one of the stats that you were most proud of in this game, 20 assists in the basketball game, 8 turnovers.
Yeah, it was huge. And again, when we talk about our team and how we play, we have to share the ball, and it becomes glaring when we don't. You know, I think everybody on our team can feel and understands it now. It's like, okay, well, when we don't move the ball, we don't get good offensive possessions, and just really we were doing a great job of getting it from side to side. We did a good job in transition of kicking it ahead and in spacing the floor, and I think that's, again, why Manny's been able to have success this last month. Everything has kind of slowed down for everybody, and I just think that everybody's at a really peace and a calmness within our offense of what we're trying to do and accomplish, and as long as we can continue to let the ball move and flow, again, free throws, not turning the basketball over, shooting threes. We have a post presence. You know, there's really not a weakness that you can really focus in on and shut us down that way as long as we continue to play the right way. So 20 assists on the road against a good defensive team. It was especially after the way we just come off a tough loss at Tech, and so you're talking about a one-day turnaround, another 4.5-hour bus ride. You know, you're trying to get everything pieced together, and to go in and compete and play the way that we did was very impressive.
What does it say about Nana Kenton? He goes 0 for 3 from 3, and he relies so much, I know, confidence on how he shoots the three. He shoots a lot of them, but he was taking the ball to the basket. He still had 3 field goals despite not hitting a 3, had a free throw, 11 rebounds in the game for Nana Kenton. And, I mean, let's face it, there are times where he can protect the rim. He's your leading shot blocker.
Yeah, he's so athletic. Nana's one of the best athletes I've been around. Just the way his vertical is pretty impressive. He has to rebound for us, and he's had a really nice conference season. You know, he struggled in the non-con a little bit, but his conference season has been very, very good for us. And rebounding him and Nigel, if we can get those guys to rebound like that, again, we secure the first initial miss. You know, now Nana in transition, Nigel in transition, it just sets up everything else. You know, you just don't have to be so dependent upon, okay, Manny's got to get the rebound, then he has to give it to Phil, then we have to give it to we can go, and it just makes us faster, it makes us better. And again, we are small, and so that's why it's huge for Nana, huge for Nigel to rebound for us from those guard positions, because he's not a traditional big guy. I mean, he's not a big guy.
Sure.
So again, he played really well. He's at a piece too, and really happy that he was able to perform and play the way he did. Just, you know, everything that he has kind of gone through and was going through at that moment.
You had some issues in the post because Manny had just 5 minutes played, 4 fouls. Now, he had great production for the time that he was in there, so you had to rotate guys in to try and just contain Janai Broom, 6'10", you know, leading rebounder in the league and leading shot blocker. I mean, he's an excellent player. And one of those guys was Nana. At times, you had him on Janai Broom. Yeah,
we went that first possession with 8 minutes left in the second half. We went zone, and it kind of stalled them out. You know, they went to some zone offensive stuff to where Janai wasn't as much involved. So we were able to keep him out on the perimeter and get him to shoot threes. And thankfully they didn't go in, but it was a good chess match back and forth, because then now we would come down offensively, and now Nana's out on the perimeter. You know, he's not a post guy. And so now they're switching 5 ways. Now we get Janai Broom guarding Phil, and now we can drive in there. Eric had some angles to drive and kick out. And then really a huge play, too, was late in that game we had a shot. I think it was Phil made the right play on the switch to the corner. Eric shot a corner 3, but then Nana, now because of the switching, had Jake Wolf on him, and he gets an offensive rebound. And again, now we were able to take another 30 seconds off the clock. So again, being able to flip and play small ball but not lose anything with toughness and Nana's vertical ability on the defensive side of the ball in the zone, we were able to survive in the foul trouble and the lack of size, because Sam fouled out, Chase fouled out, or they had 4 fouls. They couldn't, or Chase and Sam both fouled out. Manny had 4, but I knew as soon as we put Manny back in there, he was going to foul out within 30 seconds. So we just kept him over there, and Nana did a good job at that 5 spot for us. And again, it makes us, everybody's up for the challenge. Dylan was on the bench. He's like, I'll go in there at the 5, coach. I'll fight him. So we had that right mindset of doing whatever it takes to get the job done, especially when your back's up against the wall with foul trouble and everything else at that position.
How invaluable is it? I mean, the game against Belmont at the Show Me Center, winnable game, they closed better than you did. Morehead State game, up 3 with 30 seconds to go, they closed better than you did. Last Saturday, you closed better than a team that knows how to close, winning the OVC tournament. How much invaluable experience and confidence is that to, hey, we closed out a game on the road against one of the best teams in the conference?
Yeah, it's huge, and I think you talk about where you're trying to get the program to, and you want to grow and be better as the season goes on. A year ago, Eric, we won 4 out of 5 to get into the conference tournament. Now we come back and win this one, and we've had, I think it's 5 of our last 7 games have been on the road. So it hasn't been an easy stretch. We've had players out. So to be able to, for our guys to have that resiliency and that toughness and to be able to learn from unfortunate failures, you don't ever really want to learn from losing, but whoever in life or anything has just woke up, everything's been great, and you learn from, you learn probably more from your failures and your setbacks than anything else. And if you don't learn, then it becomes a loss. It's kind of how I always look at it. And I think we've learned in those moments, in those areas, as painful as they've been, because nobody wants to lose, especially our players, and especially when you give the effort that we gave against them the last time, and to lose in overtime like that. We've been able to win some close games, but this one it's always a little bit different with Morehead, and I don't know why. But as we talked about before, the Morehead game at home was big, not because it was on ESPNU, it was because SEMO was playing in it. The Belmont game, we competed and fought and played to that level because SEMO was in it. And that's where we have to get the program to. And so now you go and win a game like that at Morehead. Hopefully that turns into a rivalry, because you can't have a one-sided rivalry. There's got to be 2 teams to make it a rivalry.
The hammer and the nail are not rivals.
Right, exactly. And so I think this is kind of that step that we needed to take as a program to win one of those marquee road games, to put yourself in those conversations consistently, and not just have because anybody can have a one big game against a one-ranked opponent. That's fine and all and good, but now are we a program to where now every time someone comes to here, it's a big game because they came here to play us, not just because the other opposing team came in and played at a venue.
I guarantee you, when opposing coaches were looking at the scoreboard later that night and saw not only did you go to Morehead and win, but you scored 92 points at Morehead State, I guarantee there were coaches around the league that took very close notice of that final score.
Yeah, a lot of coaches that I've talked to before, after games, have been very complimentary of our play. I don't think anyone was really surprised. Preston, their head coach at Morehead, was surprised. He had some interesting comments at halftime, if anyone wants to go back and watch the ESPN Plus broadcast. He was a little bit taken back. He didn't like the way things were going for his team, obviously. But again, talking about how we were talking before, we're a tough cover. I think we're tough. Like, where do you focus in at? Are you going to focus in on just taking out Eric Reed? Well, then you got all these other guys, and it speaks to the balance and what really a team is supposed to be and look like. So now, the one chink in our armor that people obviously talk about is going to be the defensive side. And we had a good stretch there before Morehead. The last 5, we were averaging 68 points a game in our last 5 before the Morehead and before the Tech and before the Morehead game. So we were making progress, but then you go on the road and play Tennessee Tech and you play Morehead, who are 2 good offensive teams. Those numbers go back up. So we're right back to the bottom a little bit, but our field goal percentage defense is at 8, I think it is. And so it's not been it's been the initial miss we have. I think it's more of our rebounding, I think, than our defense. And that obviously those are a combination of the 2 things that have created for us to be at the bottom defensively. But I think that I think coaches, when they look at the scores, and again, I think it speaks to our team and where our program is. It's not as a surprise. These haven't been one-off games. This has been how we've played and how we've competed dating back to last year when we were picked 12, finished 7th. If we can somehow finish this thing off the way that we can, I think we can, to be able to put ourselves in position to finish 4th, that's pretty good progress.
So Thursday night, Tennessee Tech scores 98 points. You were certainly concerned about your defense. How about the way they responded 48 hours later? And you look at Tech, they're next to last in free throw shooting in the conference, but not against you. And you got Junior Clay goes 9 for 10. They go 23 of 32. and they sealed the game at the free throw line. But I know you were concerned. You were not happy with the defensive effort at Tech, and then you turn around and get key stops late to win the Morehead State game.
Yeah, and we went zone. Maybe, I'm kick myself a little bit. Again, I always try to go back and get better myself. I was watching the game. I was telling you earlier, I was watching the game at my house last night, and I called timeout with 1:45 in the Morehead game, and I didn't like that timeout. I thought we should have just let it go. We were in good position. We were in our zone, everything. Let 20, 30 more seconds bleed off. Now it's 1:10. So even if they score with 1:10, we're still okay. So I'm always trying to learn and get better myself. Maybe we should have went to the zone a little bit earlier at Tech. But you just worry about Junior Clay and some of those other guys, the way that they shoot the ball, even though Morehead shoots a bunch of threes. So every game is different. Every situation is different. You can beat yourself up all the time. Foul up three, don't foul. It's always based upon the result. And everyone makes a decision or assumption based on the result. But I think maybe in that Tech game, Eric, we probably could have switched some things up a little bit differently. But it's kind of been our bugaboo because we've been able to put ourselves right back in position in the Tech game and make it a one-possession game. So you're not going to go abandon everything in a one-possession game. Now you got to get a little bit tougher and dig in a little bit more, which is what we did against Morehead. So I think if we could have just done that maybe a little bit more at Tech in those moments. But we had a lot of turnovers in Tech. We just had way too many turnovers.
Which is uncharacteristic for your team.
Yeah.
And the guy that seemed to really hurt you, and he's a really good player, is John Pettway. He does not make three-pointers. He's a 6'3" guard that scores inside.
Yeah, people give him space, and he's very, very smart because a lot of times when guys give you space, and he plays so well without the basketball. I know he drives in there a lot, but he's moving around. Then when he gets the ball, he's in a position to drive, and he puts a lot of pressure on you because a lot of teams will, because he hasn't shot a three in conference play all season long. And so now you give him space. Well, now he's smart enough to shrink space, and so now when he gets the ball, he's at 12 feet, and he's really crafty around the rim, and he's athletic. He caused a lot of problems for us. We made an adjustment at halftime on him, but he was able to get in his spots and really put a lot of pressure on us. And then Junior Clay, we got out to a hot start against Tech. They had to call timeout right away.
I think you hit your first 7 threes, and then you missed your next 8.
Yeah, and he does. So Junior Clay doesn't start, and so he calls timeout, puts Junior Clay, and well, now their offense gets going a little bit more, and so now you had to understand the flow and the dynamics of how everything is changing within the game. And then they were able to find some rhythm in that first half offensively, and they're a good offensive team. They put a lot of pressure on you. They space you out, and Coach Pelfrey's always kind of been that way with his teams, and so they put a lot of pressure on us that way. And we just let some things slip. But again, to me, it was more we weren't able to keep the ball in the middle of the floor. They were able to they dominated us from twos. But then we just had way too many turnovers. And you can't give a good offensive team on the road that many more extra opportunities.
And in the basketball game, the points off turnovers were nearly identical. They turned the ball over 10 times, but you turned it over 17 times. Yeah. So, turnovers were a major issue in that game. Back to the Morehead State game, you get out-rebounded double digits, but still win the basketball game. So, sometimes that's hard to do. You get out-rebounded by 10, a lot of times you're not winning that game.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it was we did a good initial job of guarding, especially Janai. I think he had 5 offensive rebounds at halftime. And he would miss close range and then just go grab it right back and stick it back in. It's just we were right there, but we weren't getting off the ground. We weren't going out. And it's hard because he's an enigma just because he's long, he's athletic, but he's not overly bouncy. He's not just skying over people. He's got great timing and really long arms, so he's able to just obviously we've all heard the old adage saying that the guy that shoots it knows exactly where it's going, and he knew exactly when he missed where the ball was going, and so he was able to just go chase it down and put it right back in. So we didn't do a very good job of getting him out of there early. I thought we actually did a decent job on him overall. But again, because we got him to miss the first shot, we didn't get him to miss the second shot.
So I know you weren't exactly excited about Morehead State's head coach, his comments at halftime, a little disparaging to your program, and it was like, okay, no sweat, we're going to come back and take care of business. So that's sometimes, you can get irritated with opposing coaches, and we saw this at the University of Wisconsin on Sunday when Juwan Howard, Michigan's coach, threw an open-handed slap/punch at an assistant coach in a melee after the ball game. It came toward the end of the handshake line. First, Juwan Howard did not go through the handshake line. Then he decided he would. And then he's talking with Garb, the head coach of Wisconsin. They were jawing a little bit. And it all came down to both coaches said that Garb called a timeout up big with 15 seconds left in the ball game, and Howard took that as an insult. Is that a bad timeout? I mean, they're close to a 10-second call. Is that a disrespect to someone else? Because I've seen games where you're getting toward the end, a team's down by like 20 points, they hit a three, and the coach calls a quick timeout. Is that an insult? That's something that would irritate you as a coach? It clearly irritated Juwan Howard.
Yeah, it would irritate me. You know, and nobody likes to. Everybody's obviously a competitor. If you're a coach, if you're a player, you're competing. Guard said he was about to get a 10-second call, so he called timeout. It's like, well, you're up by 13, 15 points. Like, is that really what it was? They've got some history there, even dating back years prior. I don't think that it ever. Obviously, you never want to see it come to that, and it doesn't have to come to that. I'm sure, you know, Coach Spradlin at Moorhead, and he was saying some stuff to me. I'm saying stuff back to him. But at the end of the day, you shake their hand and you move on. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's a game. You don't need these black eyes on your program. I actually talked about it because it was a chippy game at Moorhead, and that's what you want in rivalry games. It's like that. It's going to be like that.
Sure.
I talked to the assistants actually with about 30 seconds left in the Moorhead game. I said, hey, did you guys see the North Dakota State Oral Roberts game? Because there was a scuffle there between players and everything. So that type of stuff does happen. Unfortunately, I was a part of the K-State KU brawl 3 years ago or whatever it was. So things like that do happen. Again, you're dealing with high emotions, especially in moments like that. I hope nothing like that ever happens with us. It doesn't need to happen. It does happen from time to time, but it doesn't need to happen. You know, especially to me at that level, that spotlight, the game was out of hand. It was over. Like, is this what we need to be talking about? You know, Wisconsin has a very good basketball team. Michigan's making their run to try getting the NCAA tournament. They've had an up and down season. It's like, I think both programs would understand and realize we got bigger things to worry about than handshake lines and me touching you in your chest. Of why I call the time. The rules are the rules. You can play by them. You can do what you want. I know a big baseball guy. There's a lot of unwritten rules. To me, we took a shot clock violation at Edwardsville when we're up 30. We could have shot it. The rules are we had to put a shot up or you're going to get a turnover. And so it's like in those moments, I'd rather just, hey, the game's under control. We don't need to shoot this shot. Obviously, I know that coach well. I respect him. What do we need to go shoot another shot for? Let's just the shot clock goes off. They get the ball back with 8 seconds. Surely they're not going to shoot down 30 because there's no 30-point shot. Let's just get this game over with. Everybody go home. So I kind of fall under that. But it's hard when you're in those moments. It's that old saying, you know, that old psychology saying when emotions are high, clarity is low. And so and you got to put some of that stuff to aside, and that's hard to do. But I think a lot of the times I probably go way too calm and casual in practice settings or in game settings because I know, when you go, and there's no coming back from it.
So it all took place in the handshake line, and the whole basis of the handshake line is good sportsmanship. After the game, you shake hands and you move on. Is the handshake line a problem? Do you think this will, do you think it'll shine a spotlight on, hey, maybe after a hard-fought game, maybe we ought to not worry about the handshake line? Or do you say, no, the handshake line is there for a reason, we need it?
Yeah, to me, it's if we can't all be adults and shake hands at the end of a competition playing a game, then, what else are you going to do? What are you going to do when real problems and situations arise in life? If you can't shake people's hands after a game, if boxers and UFC fighters can
they hug each other after the game.
I mean, surely in basketball we can shake some hands and not have it turn into stuff like that. So I fall more on that line of, hey, you give everything you got in between, those 2 hours in between the lines, and then after that, again, things are going to happen. But I don't really ever. I hope none of our assistants ever get into a head coach's face, and I hope I or another opposing head coach don't ever open hand smack somebody. That to me, scuffles and words, all that, pushing and shoving, all that's part of it a little bit, but I think that's completely over the top.
And out of character for Juwan Howard. Everybody that knows Juwan Howard knows he's a classy individual. He was as a player at Michigan, as a pro, and as an assistant coach for, he was the conduit with those players with in Miami to the head coach, so Spoelstra. So, I mean, he is very respected. But if you're the head coach, it is a huge responsibility because you are the leader of young men. And in a situation like that, many will say you have to be the adult in the room. And it didn't look like Juwan Howard was the adult in the room. Would you expect probably a suspension coming here for Juwan Howard?
Yeah, absolutely. The length of it, I'm not quite sure. I don't, should he be fired, this, that, and the other. I don't,
Yeah, I hope he doesn't get fired.
We all make mistakes. It wasn't that. I don't think it was necessarily. I don't think it was a fireable offense as far as just get him out of here, never get to coach another game type of a thing. But definitely, there's going to be some. It's another old bunch of sayings, but we all got the freedom of choice, but we don't all have the freedom of consequence, and so there's going to be some consequences that he's probably going to have to face with that.
Okay, so you brought up Kansas State KU and a brawl. Tell us about it, because I'm not sure I've seen video of that particular incident.
It was I can't remember what year it was. It was like 3 years ago, and again, it was one of those games. The game was over. They had beat us, and their big guy was dribbling.
Is this in Kansas?
This was in Allen Fieldhouse, yeah.
Okay.
And their big guy's dribbling the ball out. And then one of our freshman guards goes and takes the ball from him and then goes and tries to lay it in with 10 seconds left.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, and then the guy stands
was on
over the top of
baseline,
him.
right?
Yep,
yeah.
And then guys from our bench, and it's so tight in Allen Fieldhouse, and you talk about emotions in that game and then in that building. A couple of our guys leave the bench, then it just turned into, and then it was just a nasty, nasty scene that you don't need. Neither, it's one of those things. It's like afterwards, you're like, what in the world did that have to happen?
Did somebody pick up a chair or something?
Yeah, D'Souza picked up a chair, and it was all right in front of our bench. I kind of was in there a little bit, down, trying to get people back, and it's so tight there. If you've ever been there, there's no space. They've got, normally there's scores tables along the sidelines, but they have one even on the baseline, right by the visiting team's bench. So there's just no room in there. They just pack so many people in there, and so you got people flying on top of people, punches being thrown, trying to get your guys out of there, trying to keep yourself safe. It just was it was a mess.
So what was the fallout when it was all, cleared out by the Big 12?
Both teams had guys suspended for a couple games. They had a couple.
Did they stagger those suspensions? Like 3 in this game and 2 guys in another game, or were they all?
No, if I remember correctly, there was 2 guys that had 2 or 3 game suspensions, but it was right away.
I got you.
Yeah, those games. No coaches or anything like that. No one was suspended, and then that was the first time that we had played them that season. And so when they came back to Manhattan, I think it was maybe 2-3 weeks later, we all lined up across the way and shook each other's hands before kind of a moment of solidarity.
But I bet the students were pretty lathered up when they came to Manhattan.
Yeah, they didn't need a brawl at Allen Fieldhouse to be lathered up for that game because of the rivalry that it is. But yeah, that was an intense situation. And I don't ever want to be a part of one of those again.
All right, we're going to talk to Manny Patterson. Coach, talk about Manny and what he has given your team down the stretch here of his final few games as a college basketball player.
Yeah, you're always trying to find things as a coach to motivate guys, to try to get them to see the bigger picture. I think so many times young people can be prisoners of moments and be so based on what just happened to them and not see the end. So about a month ago, we're talking to them about, hey, guys, we only got 4 home games left, or we only, because 5 of our last 7 have been on the road. So this was about a month ago saying, hey, you only got 4 home games left of the season, in the regular season. And I just remember Manny was, because he always looks you in the eye because he's got great character. He's a great kid. And he's looking at me, and I just saw it on his face. And that's when it finally, I think, clicked for him. It was about a month and a half ago. I was like, man, I only got 4 games left at home. And so it clicks for different guys at different moments, but especially for those seniors when they're eligibility, like senior eligibility. And it's really clicked for Manny. I think everything just falls away. All the distractions, all your fears, anxieties, worries, all just go away. And all you want to do is go play basketball and play well. And he has been, he dominated Muczinski, played great against Broome. He's put himself in that conversation. Everyone talks about those 2 guys. And Manny's had that type of a month for us. Really since he came back from injury, and we talk about all the time, he doesn't even do the jump ball anymore because he's battling injuries, and you get that wear and tear and that bark on you as a 5th-year senior.
Nigel probably likes doing the jump ball.
Yeah, anytime Nigel can be right there in the center, he's gonna gobble it up. But Manny's just been that guy that you want. You want a guy like that. You want your 5th-year seniors to be able to perform well and to have a good close. And I think more than anything, just Manny and other guys with eligibility, you never know now with COVID. You talk about big thing that we talked about in the summertime. We always try to do like a summer theme. When you're talking about a legacy and leaving a place better than when you found it. And Manny, when he came here, I don't know what he actually envisioned his career to be, but I know that when we first got here in a pandemic and trying to get the right guys in the locker room, Manny is one of those guys, and he has definitely left SEMO basketball in a better spot than when he got here.
All right, we will talk with him. Manny Patterson going to join us after the timeout. We're at Wings, etc. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show right here on SEMO ESPN.
Sports ball.
Gerardo, and stop by. Still got time to join us for lunch. They've got the dining rooms always filled with their high-definition televisions. They've got the best sports programming, including all the college basketball. You can watch it all right here. If you're a St. Louis Blues fan, you can watch the Blues on this road trip that they're currently on. Their half-pound lunch specials start at just $7.99. They have food and drink specials throughout the week, and they're open 7 days a week and late on the weekends because sometimes the games run late. And if you are thinking about Wings, etc., maybe don't have time to get out and visit, you can have it delivered right to your front door through the DoorDash app. Just download the DoorDash app on your mobile device, and you can set up an account within minutes and have it delivered right to your front door. Or now they have the option of ordering online through their website, and you can come pick it up, and they'll have it waiting for you. It is Wings, etc. Good food, great times, home of the Red Hawks Coaches Show. Let's talk it over with Red Hawks senior Manny Patterson. Manny, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well. Your second time on the show this year. How does it feel kind of realizing that, hey, two regular – now you're going to play in the tournament, but two regular season games left. That's it for you.
Man. I wake up, man, it's a crazy feeling, honestly. And it's like just to know as a senior, these are like your last two college home games, like guaranteed, and just like at home also. And I think about it every morning, man. Like I was counting down just like when I had my last 12 games left in conference, I knew. And I just looked, like I counted every game down 11, 10, 9. Like, man, I was just thinking about it every time. And it just really like stuck with me. And I just wanted to be more consistent there for my team, the coaches, just being more of a factor for them. And it all just started with just like trusting within myself, believing, and just not giving up. And it's worked out, man.
Well, you've had to go up against the elite big men in the Ohio Valley Conference. Nick Muczinski of Belmont. It seems like he's been there for about 7 years, but he's finally a graduate student there. I think they have 5 grads on that roster. How much of a challenge is it to play against Muczinski, because you have played well against him?
I mean, usually it's a good battle. When you're amongst like good players, like good posts like that, and they have a name, they put a name at the top of the list for themselves. Like it's always gonna be a challenge, and attacking into those games and just like when I go into them, I just think like mentally, it's like every other game. Every game not gonna be easy, but I just honestly, it's like as long as I take care of what I'm supposed to do, defensively guard, and I won't have anything to worry about and just rebound.
And anybody that's been around basketball for any length of time understands that the elite players sometimes get the whistles. They sometimes get the calls. I remember the first touch Muczinski had at the Show Me Center. He tried some fadeaway shot. He was like 5 feet from you, and they called a foul. The next time he's got the ball, you've got him defended, and Nigel comes up and blocks his shot cleanly from behind. Another whistle on that particular play. But do you know sometimes, hey, boy, I've got to really do my best to try to avoid this, because a guy like that or Janai Broom probably going to get the benefit of the doubt. The stars usually do.
Man, it's crazy because honestly, a lot of this started just like with me locking in on the defensive end. And once I really got that point, and just really dialed in, watching more film amongst myself, and just being a bigger critique of just how I'm guarding certain players, how I'm like giving them position, or just like walling up or moving my feet. Like I watch that a lot more now, and just like I'm more smarter. I'm making better decisions, and I just stayed with it, and it's been helping. I've just been more defensively for my teammates, and just us being together. And I talk to them a lot. It's about being more collective as a unit defensively. And once we start locking more on that end, it's going to take care of a lot. So,
how much do you watch film of a Muczinski or a Janai Broom and will look at tendencies? Okay, when he gets the ball here, he almost always does this, or he likes to do this in the post. I know Muczinski's a lefty, so is Broom a lefty too? Yeah, I think they're both lefties. How much do you watch film to kind of look at guys' tendencies, and how different is it trying to guard a lefty on the post than a conventional right-hander?
Honestly, I mean, they both can use both hands, so it's not really trying to play just one move. You got to play the whole move entirely, and just like being locked in mentally. And when you guys too, like, man, you can be tired trying to guard one of the best players in the post, and like you still got to be there, like fighting for that one possession. But I watch film like honestly a lot, and before games, after games, just like trying to critique what certain players do, but just not being so like over worried and overthinking it, but just like being in the moment, knowing the job that I have to do at hand, and just making sure I'm getting the job done for my team.
And, not all big guys are shot blockers. Now, Muczinski and Broom they're elite shot blockers. But you look at Austin Peay's big man. He's not a shot blocker at all. He's a load in the post, but he doesn't block shots. How do you attack shot blockers differently than you attack a guy like with Austin Peay, who, he didn't block many shots?
Honestly, I just finished strong. I finished through the rim, and I just focused on putting the ball in the hole. And once I just started like just finishing consistently and just like focusing, catching the ball, and just like, taking my time more, that's when it started just like falling in place.
I know that you are working and playing your hardest and best at all times, okay? So let's get that out of the way. But Do you sometimes feel yourself, man, I got to crank it up? I'm playing Nick Muczinski. I'm playing against Janai Broom. When you play the elite guys who are the focal point of the opposing team, do you find yourself maybe even more locked and loaded?
Yeah, because when SEMO plays, that's when it's a big game. Because we're coming to play and we're coming to, throw the first punch. And just like, you have the top teams, but it's always a challenge when both of them teams are competing at a high level. So that's how it usually is.
Well, what was it like to go to Morehead State and win? First of all, they'd only lost one game in that building all season long, and secondly, you scored 92 points. They haven't given up 90 points to anybody.
It was a good game, like the whole way through. Like we withstand some of their runs. We stayed with it, and even at halftime, we was up, but we knew we had a whole another half, but we just stayed with it. Like consistently, we took care of the ball. Down the stretch, we made better decisions, and we finished the game. Like, that was the difference between when we played Morehead at our place in overtime and also Belmont. We, like this last game, we finished the game the right way. Like, we took care of the ball, honestly. So,
how much are you a mentor for the young post players on this roster? Sam Thompson. I know Chase Thompson probably won't play down on the post when everybody's healthy, and you've got plenty of big men. But right now, he has to play down there a little bit. Nate Johnson obviously is out for the season. But with all your experience, over 130 games played at the Division I level, how much are you a mentor for them? Pass along knowledge to them. Try to help them develop.
Honestly, I help them anytime that I get. Like, just in practice, in games, always just, like, try to help them on little things that I've learned in my past, just from my freshman year, all the years I've been in college, and just motivating them to, like, just stay with it. Next play. Everything might not be perfect, but, if you always stay with it, just stay working hard and play hard and just make sure you're doing the right things, it's going to work out.
How about Sam Thompson? How about his potential? Because he's a 6'10 guy. Sometimes you see guys that big, they don't really run the floor very well. They may lumber a little bit, kind of Frankenstein-y. But that's not him. I mean, he moves well. The one thing I've noticed about Sam, and I would say that it's going to get better the more Division I experience, sometimes he'll rush something offensively, down in the post, whereas maybe you take a breath, you don't have to rush it as much. What do you see from Sam Thompson? Because he looks like he's got the skills to be an effective post player at Division I.
He definitely has the tools for sure. And I talk to Sam, like, pretty much a lot sometimes in practice and just off the court as well. And, sometimes he may be in his head, but he's always with it. And I know he has a good heart. And I know he's a player where it's going to, like, it may take time, but he definitely has it in the tools. But as long as he stays with it, I know he's going to be a very good player, a very good poster, and very good, piece for this team.
So guys that you go up against on a day-in, day-out basis in the OVC, who is the biggest talker? What guys are talking trash?
That's a funny question. But honestly, before, it was Janai Broom. It was. But
he talked trash Saturday? Well, you were only out there for 5 minutes. You didn't have time to talk much trash.
Yeah, but honestly, last year, from last year to now, like, in a position that I put myself in, and, like, as he saw me, like, the way that I know I can play, like, and he saw that, he honestly, a lot of players stopped talking because, like, they know it just, like, wasn't going to be an easy night. So, like, when you're talking, like, you're not doing a lot of nothing, honestly. So,
does Muczinski talk much?
No. After that, yeah. No.
Does Belmont talk much?
They talk on defense,
Yeah,
but not really as much as, like, talking just, back and forth.
So you guys have a chance to finish as high as 4th. Right now you've secured the 4th spot. That would get you a first-round bye. It's huge whether you finish 4th or 5th, but a first-round bye in the OVC tournament. How much is that motivation for this team to get a first-round bye and not have to play potentially 4 games in 4 days?
Man, that's huge motivation, honestly, because, like, we put ourselves in that position, honestly, and we worked to get here. But I believe that us as a unit, as long as we, like, live in the moment and just take care of what we have to do in practice before the games, we set ourselves up to, like, make games easier. Like, we know it's going to be tough, but as long as we play a full 40 and take care of both halves and close the game out, we're going to be in a good position.
That is a long freaking bus ride from Moorhead, Kentucky, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's 6 hours, man. I was getting so stiff.
Yeah, I bet. And people don't understand, especially guys with your size. You get cramped up on a bus. So
I
you
was
got
crushed up in the back of the bus, just sitting there like, oh my God.
You got to stretch. I know some guys lay down on the floor sometimes on the bus.
I saw it in
Manny,
the past.
best of luck down the stretch here, and continued success in the OVC tournament. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks
we
a lot.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure. Manny Patterson. We'll wrap it up with Coach Korn. We'll talk about UT Martin, who nearly beat Murray State on Saturday night, and we'll talk about the Big Bad Racers. That's coming up. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN. In Cape Girardeau, the Red Hawks will be hosting UT Martin in a doubleheader on Thursday, and then the Racers. And we'll see if they still bring that long winning streak to the Show Me Center, if somebody will get them on Thursday night. I know as of now, the conference standings, Murray State has won 16 in a row. They are 16-0. There have been just a handful of teams that have gone through an Ohio Valley Conference season undefeated. Belmont is riding a 10-game winning streak. But UT Martin will be here on Thursday. Coach Brad Korn joining us. And when you look at UT Martin, I'm not sure if there is a bigger enigma of a team in the OVC where one night you say, man, they're not very good. And then the next night they beat somebody or they take Murray State. They had a late lead against Murray State, and Murray makes a three-point play late to win it, I think, by 2.
Yeah, you said it perfectly, Eric. They've had games. I think they started out league play 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. They won at Austin Peay, and then they beat I can't remember who it was at home. So they started out kind of a surprise team. To me, they were a lot like we were a year ago. No one really expected anything from them. Picked dead last, and then all they do is they just scrap and fight and find ways to try to win games. So it's going to be a tough game for us. We're not going to win just because we're at home and.
They won at P and Tennessee State. That's
what it was, Tennessee State. So, I mean, they started out the league play well, and I don't think anybody expected them to give Murray the game that they gave them. But all that said, it's more about us. We've got to finish and play the right way down the stretch in the Show Me Center where we have played well of late. We've got a chance to win. If we can get these last 2 at home, you're talking about winning 8 of your last 10 at home and really turning it into something that we've tried to do and build over the course of the 2 years. So, but Thursday is the most important game because it's the next one, and we did not play well at all at their place in any facet of the game. It was a nasty game, to be quite honest. And so hopefully we come with that edge and really understand what it's about and what we're trying to do and continue to play how we've been playing and be the tougher team and share the basketball, all those things that we've talked about. Because we're not going to just show up and beat Martin just because we're supposed to. It doesn't work that way. So I think we'll be focused on that. Guys like Manny and older guys understand as you get towards the end what it really is about and how you have to play. And it'll be a tough task, and we should have some fuel. We should have some fire in us because there's something we're playing for quite a bit here still towards the end.
And you have a UT Martin team that is playing for something. They want to get that number 8 seed. Right now, they are the number 8 seed, but they're playing to get into the OVC tournament because they've got 2 teams, 1 game back in the loss column behind them, SIUE and Eastern Illinois. So you're going to get their best shot. Not a team that's been eliminated and might just be going through the motions, playing out the game.
Right, exactly. And then I think it's a good thing, too, for our guys, because you can talk about it as much as you want. It's human nature to think things or, well, just they beat us last time, so we'll beat them this time. But now we have a lot of good video here of Murray and say, hey, this is what they just did to these guys. Here's what they did to us. 84-63. They beat us by 21 in third place. So we've got a lot of fuel and fire that we hopefully understand and can take in tomorrow when we start digging into them and film and everything else like that. So it'll be a good test for us. And again, like you say, they're playing for 8th. They're playing to get in that tournament. Everybody knows when you get in the tournament, anything can happen. So lot basketball still left to be played, a lot still to be determined.
And they shoot a lot of threes, but they rank last in three-point shooting percentage, and they're next to last in the league in rebounding margin. So at least statistically, a team that you should be right there with on the boards.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier today in the show, is just rebounding has got to be one of the things that we focus on and be committed to. Especially late, again, we'll guard a first initial action, but now can we get the rebound off the first miss? So it's going to be big for us. Again, long shots equal long rebounds, and so everybody's got to come back and rebound. It's not going to just be 1 or 2 guys. We've got to do it as a group again. So now we can turn good half-court defense into transition offense.
Boy, and then you've got Murray State coming in here on Saturday, and we know how good the Racers are, nationally ranked. 3-headed monster in K.J. Williams, Tevin Brown, and Justice Hill. And Hill was the guy that killed you at Murray State. I mean, they rolled pretty good in that game, but Justice Hill, one of those guys that just had an unconscious night from the field.
Yeah, he played really, really well, shot the ball extremely well. He plays with a great pace. He's always under control. They're obviously good. Win that many games in a row. I think it's an interesting game just because that was the first game after break, first game of league. A whole lot has transpired since then. For us, I think we're way better of a team than we were then. And then obviously being able to play at home in last game of the year, hopefully we can't be looking forward to that game before Thursday. Obviously that's why I say the biggest game's the next game, because it's the next game, and that's Martin, and they beat us. And so we got to let Murray and Saturday take care of Murray and Saturday, and we'll get to that point. We got to be focused on Thursday and make Saturday, one of those games that people remember and experience for a long time around here.
And at least on paper, Murray State should have its hands full Thursday before they come to Cape. They've got Belmont at home at the bank.
Yeah, it's especially in February, last week of the season. Anything can happen. It's just about who really is going to be there, mentally, physically, ready to roll, and that's going to obviously be a battle because Belmont's got to get one back for their at-large hopes. And again, jockeying for position. I don't know exactly where they fall with Moorhead, if they could fall to 3 or even in any of the standings. But
they are 14-2. Moorhead's 12-4. So
I guess
it's
in
unlikely.
theory, but yeah. So they're everyone's playing for something, but they're really playing. They're trying to get to their. Obviously they're saying we win against a ranked team. That's going to put them in position. They already have a win at St. Louis University this year, so they're trying to bolster their NCAA tournament resume. Try to get an at-large if they can't win the conference tournament. So everyone's still jockeying for position, and a lot to be looking forward to and a lot to play for still.
All right, your thoughts here as you try to lock down the number 4 seed. You're not going to finish any higher than 4, but how important would it be to get a first-round bye in the tournament?
Yeah, something that we set out to do at the beginning of the year is to, we talk about trying to wear our white uniforms at home, or our home uniforms at the conference tournament. So something that you put yourself in position. You just want to keep taking steps as a program, and to be able to, like I said before, Eric, to be able to go from potentially 12th to 7th to 4th. Now you've shown some progress there, and again, putting our program in a position. We're going to make the conference tournament for back-to-back years. First time, and now that's starting to be an expectation. and that's what you're trying to do. And so now is it the expectation of, okay, now we've taken steps and necessary steps that we need as a program. So to me, being able to finish, but you could also fall as far as, maybe the 7th seed or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So there's a whole lot left out there. We're not just because we're playing Thursday at home and then you're going to be the 4 seed. That's just what's in front of you and what's behind you. But it would mean a ton just because now you've shown the progress that you need to. And now you're not only that, you're getting 8 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, not, in a year in and year out, and becoming an expectation, a baseline, and now you can keep pushing that line further and further year in and year out. So again, that's what we want to do, is just keep raising the bar, keep pushing the bar higher for now, not just for right now, but also in the future of what we're trying to do as a program.
Well, one of the last times they beat Murray State at the Show Me Center, the football team was there, and they were down on the baseline, and they caused Cameron Payne, as a freshman, to miss 2 free throws in a tie game with 0 seconds left in regulation, and SEMO won it in double overtime. Can we get the football team there?
I think we're going to have more than just a football team. If we can take care of business on Thursday and Murray comes in here, I have full confidence in the Show Me Center and the people of Cape and SEMO, and I think that would be, again, provided we take care of business Thursday and come out and play the way we need to play on Thursday, I think we can make Saturday one of those games that we talk about.
I know Red Hawk fans would love to stop that Racer winning streak. Coach,
Yeah,
thanks so much for the time. We'll see you Thursday night at the Show Me Center. Appreciate it.
You got it, Eric. Thank you.
That is Coach Brad Korn, and that's going to do it for the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. So long from Wings Etc. in Cape.
KGIR, Cape Girardeau. K228FX, Cape Girardeau. SEMO ESPN. Powered by 7-Up, the official sponsor.